Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday, January 31st edition of the show. It is our last show of January before February gets here. Valentine's Day will be here before we know it. That reminds me, I need to get a present of some sort for Erica, my wife, so we'll have to work on that. Bobby Harward is in studio today. Philip Pilkington is behind the glass. Bobby, how's it going?
It's going good. I also have to get a present. I found out yesterday that my wife had gotten me something. We haven't done presents in years together.
For Valentine's Day?
For Valentine's Day, yeah. And she was like, yeah, I got you some things. And I was like, oh, shoot.
That's never, especially if you take a few years off of, getting a gift, then you got to get back into that mode of, trying to get your wife gifts. Because you know as well as anybody, once you have kids, it's always we'll just put it on the back burner.
Right.
And focus, save our money, do that sort of thing. But then it's now the pressure's on again, right?
Yeah. No, I'm glad she said something because otherwise that would have been a really bad look. I do kind of focus it. Right now I have two daughters now, but for, the last 4 years I've had just one daughter, and I normally take her out to dinner, and we're doing a dinner and a daddy-daughter dance in Winterville next Friday. So that will be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Fun times. And you were at Minji's Coliseum on Sunday with your son Dacre, and I got a chance to see you sitting behind the goal. So I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the worst atmosphere of the season. Yeah. There were no students there. I guess everybody's watching the championship game, but ECU does pull it out over Temple. But what did you think of Sunday's game for the Pirates?
Yeah, that was a last-minute decision for us. I know I had told you last Wednesday I would be we had some church events, but some of that illness crud kind of passed through our family, so both of our daughters got some crud, so we could not take them to the church. I took Dacre, who is probably the biggest ECU basketball fan, to the game, and he enjoyed it. It was cool. He's able to now follow the basketball going into the hoop, which is really cool to hear him cheer. But in terms of how the game went, I was shocked that they were able to pull it out. I was very glad that they pulled it out because that would have been probably up there with one of the worst losses on the season. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. The lineups look funky at times. It's almost like, I can see Shorts getting kind of pissed at guys and just yanking them, which is, not uncommon. But with the lack of depth that we have, it's kind of hard to get some production when those starters or those, big three or four are not producing.
Yeah, there was a point in that second half, which look, it was bad basketball. I mean, it was bad. There was a stretch. So there was also a stretch where I think he got disgusted and he went with. There was a point where it was Caleb LeCount, Valentino Pinedo, and Binsau Vungo. They were all on the court at the same time. One of those guys had just gotten there 2 days ago. He had 2 days of practice. LeCount had not played at all against in the previous game against Wichita. That was his first minutes. And then Val Pinedo, we've talked about him a lot on the show. But I will give Val and Caleb credit. I think they both scored in that stretch.
Yeah. I mean, during the game, we had two guys come in that didn't even have the correct stitching on the back of their jersey. I mean, that shows
we got to talk about that, too.
That is just embarrassing. I know the people at ECU are doing everything they can, so I think that falls more on Adidas overall. But it's just – I mean, when you look and you see everybody else with a normal stitch and then this massive just
tape.
Upward basketball tape on the back of the jersey, it's not a good look.
Yeah, Logan Bourgeois, he also played walk-on from France. So my understanding is ECU has been told by the apparel company Adidas that it'll be any day now when Logan's jersey gets in, but that it's been that way for months now. So and now Vungo, which his is a little more excusable because he just got here, he just enrolled. But to have two guys playing in a conference game with tape on the back of their jerseys, it's honestly kind of embarrassing, and more so from my understanding from Adidas because they're the ones kind of not getting the job done. But that's my understanding. The other thing, too, we've talked a lot about jerseys on the show. I think they want to wear gold at home, the gold pirate script, but their undershirts don't match. So something about NCAA rules or something, they can't wear it.
That's another miss by Adidas. It's amazing how many times they miss, but yet at the same time how much better that deal is than Nike was. It's crazy to think about. I'm just so tired of them wearing the black on the road. Like, wear purple. You have the purple uniform. It's probably, if not the best, definitely in the top 2. And you're just wearing those black. I don't know. They just look bad to me.
It's the font is completely different because it's just East on top of the number, Carolina.
Yep.
I don't think the jersey is bad itself, but it's not. Every other jersey you have is the Pirate script.
Right.
And so then you have the regular East Carolina. I feel like if it was black with the Pirate script, it would look pretty sweet.
Right. I think so.
I was talking with somebody the other day, too. They need to go at some point, probably not mid-season, but after the season, redo the mid-court and make it the Pirate script.
Ooh, that would be nice.
You think they should roll that route?
I think so. I think everything in athletics needs to start rolling back to the Pirate script. And I do want to preface with saying the black jerseys, or step back to the black jerseys, wearing them 2 or 3 times is not I think that's what they're meant for.
Right.
But
every road game.
Right. Every road game is a little like, I actually get angry when I turn on the television and see the black jerseys. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm a big jersey nut and probably way more obsessed with jerseys than I should be, but
hey, it's part of it. I mean, we're gonna have a whole show one time on off-season uniform. What do you think, Philip? Behind the glass, we got the producer cam set up today. What is ECU's best basketball uniform, and do you agree that the black unis on the road is getting kind of stale?
Oh, it definitely is. Like, I like the black. To Bobby's point, maybe 2-3 times a year, but like that's how every other team does it. Like growing up a Duke fan, and like they wore black like twice throughout the whole year. Like, that's cool. As far as best jerseys, the problem is I've been producing so much over the last few years. I feel like I don't even watch them that often. I always get stuck in the production room, so whether it be TV or in person, but.
You will be there tonight.
I will be there tonight. I like the gold. I really do. I wish, the NCAA didn't have their stupid undershirt rule, or we could just get gold undershirts, or just don't wear undershirts.
It can't be that hard to wear matching undershirts.
I guess it's just such a unique color. Maybe they don't offer that. But then if you're offering us that in jerseys and the NCAA's got whack rules, just do it. Just make it special for us. There's probably other gold Adidas teams. There's got to be. Like, come on. So, I don't know. I'm going to go the gold, though.
I am a big fan of gold as well. Wish they could find a way to make that work. Newton Smith on YouTube says purple should be mandatory and black as a special purpose uniform. I agree with that. Russ Walker says, good afternoon, Steven Eyebrows Igloo. I enjoy your show. Thanks, Russ. Jack says, I go with the reverse jinx. What did I jinx? Was that something from the Temple game? I did tweet out at one point that it was, I think I tweeted out that it was like a lifeless offensive performance, which it was.
Yeah.
And then ECU ended up rallying because of his defense. I don't know. Let me know, Jack, what I jinxed or am going to jinx. Russ says, who is our best starting five? We'll talk about this. I feel like I kind of like the direction Schwartz has gone recently, where they're starting the games big, Bobby, with Jaden Walker at the point and Sear Malong at the 5. And that way, to me, you just get more impact off the bench with Pettiford and Cam Hayes. Like, almost when you go Hayes and Pettiford in the starting lineup, it's too scoring focused. I don't know. I kind of like them going with the direction they have. What about you?
Yeah, I honestly had not seen the start of the last few games up until that Temple game, so I was a little surprised to see Pettiford and Hayes come off the bench. And honestly, Hayes didn't get a ton of playing time
like 13
on
minutes
Sunday. Yeah, so to answer the question of the best five, I mean, R.J. Felton's obvious up there. I like Pettiford running the point. You know, that R.J. and Pettiford are pretty interchangeable. Brennan Johnson, Ezra. I'm missing somebody.
And then you kind of go, do you want to go with like Hayes or Walker, or do you want to go big with Sear in the, because you can kind of go either direction there.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jaden Walker. I know he didn't have a great game, and there were a few instances where Schwartz kind of lost it on him defensively there at the end. But I think right now, just with his experience and, he can guard multiple positions on the floor, where Sear is kind of pretty isolated. I am excited about the future of Sear. I'm glad they're starting to, put him into the lineup and allow him to get some playing time, get some experience, especially early in the games too. I think it's important. So I think he has already made a ton of progress from what we saw in November, but I think he could end up being a pretty good player for us.
Year 5 is what they ended the game with, and what they've, I think, ended the game with the last few times out, because they've had Pettiford and Walker on at the same time, which I kind of like. And again, I like Cam Hayes, but when he's not hitting his shot, I might as well just go Walker, because defensively he brings more length, kind of versatility there.
Yeah, and Hayes hasn't, honestly, his shot has not been on a lot. So you wonder kind of what's going on there. This is not the player I expected coming from LSU, and I'm wondering if there's some other things going on. Obviously, there's a lot of, drama and stuff revolving around, being eligible, ineligible. Like, I'm sure that takes a toll on you mentally, but I just thought we would see a little bit more from him offensively. I tell you what, Bobby Pettiford is a lot more explosive than I thought he was.
He's talented, man.
Yeah, he can jump. I mean, he gets up there, and he's a lot better than what I expected, trying to be somewhat optimistic with Pirate basketball.
Schwartz has talked a lot. They want him to be more aggressive offensively, because to me, like, he can get to the rim and finish, but a lot of times he'll drive in, make a nice drive, and he'll try to hit that little pull up. Mm-hmm. And I almost think he's better if he just puts his head down and tries to get to the rim, because he can elevate over guys. I mean, he's had dunks, he's had strong finishes, and he doesn't really get to the free throw line because, to me, he doesn't seek out the contact. And I think if he embraced that a little more, he could do it. But I think when he scores, Bobby, like, ECU usually wins. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah. And speaking of guys who have dropped off a little bit, is Ezra. I feel like, I don't know, he's obviously not the best rebounder in the world, but I thought one of his focal points in the off season was developing an outside shot. That doesn't really seem to appear.
Temple was sagging off 5 feet from him.
And I know there's a lot of mention maybe after the season him hitting the transfer portal, but I don't know if the attention will quite be there like it was at the end of last season. I'm curious. Brandon Johnson I'm a big Brandon Johnson fan. I know he didn't have a great game Sunday, but I think he's obviously pretty talented, and when his shot's going, it's hard to get in his face. He's so long and lengthy. Like, when he steps out there at the three-point line, it's tough to defend.
Ezra on the season is 5 of 11 from 3, which is 45%, which is good. But he did take two threes last game, and they weren't close. But I almost feel like he overthinks it. Like, some of the time he catches the ball in the perimeter and teams are just sagging off and he'll hesitate. Like, just shoot it, man. Yeah. Like, you're 5 of 11. You're almost 50%. Even if he's only a 30% three-point shooter, at least if you're taking some threes, you're going to get guys closing out on you. Instead, he just has to then put the ball on the ground, and we know that leads to turnovers because, A, he's going so fast. B, teams know he's trying to get to the paint, so they know how to wall up and defend him. But, look, I mean, for ECU to win games like tonight, as we shift focus to tonight, you need Ezra, Brandon, RJ, at least 2 of those guys on top of their game. The Pirates are hosting South Florida, which is one of the surprises in the league tonight. 13-5, 6-1 in the American. They've got a first-year head coach come over from Kennesaw State, and the Bulls really have racked up recently here a number of wins. They didn't start the year good. They've had, let's see here, a 6-game winning streak, then lost at UAB as their only conference loss, 75-71, and then have won 5 in a row. Now, they have beaten some pretty weak teams, similar to ECU, beating up on the bottom of the league. These are their wins in conference play. Temple, Rice, at Memphis was a very good win. Then they beat Wichita at home by 4, at Temple to sweep the Owls, and then beat UTSA. They hit 18 three-pointers on Sunday, Bobby. So, big game tonight, though. ECU is actually favored by 2.5 at home against a team that's 6-1 in the conference. So what do you make of that line?
What I make of it is I wish it was March 11th so that we could place a bet on it. That surprises me that they're favored because that win, I believe it was at Memphis. Yep. I remember watching the end of the game. I can't remember if it went to overtime or not, but there was a foul towards the end, and their big guy, I believe, hit 2 free throws to kind of, I believe, give them the lead If
Yeah, I think so.
And then they missed their guy Memphis's guy that's made a bunch of buzzard beaters this year, missed one at the end. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, going into the year, you kind of have expected South Florida, we probably split with them, but they've been rolling with a new coach. So I'm a little concerned. I do think if ECU can pull this out, it's a great momentum builder and confidence boost going into, I believe it's Charlotte this weekend.
Yep,
is that
Charlotte
right?
On Saturday.
Like, that would be a big deal to get this win, have some confidence going into UNC Charlotte, which sounds like it's going to be a really fun atmosphere there. So I'm hopeful, not quite confident, just hopeful, I think, in this this evening's game.
Philip, what's kind of your handicap on this game? Do you feel like Vegas has it right with ECU favored? Again, looking at South Florida's schedule, I don't think good team. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're as good as maybe their record indicates, but a little surprised ECU's favored by 2.5. What about you?
Yeah, I think to an extent. You mentioned the record not being great. This conference is weird because ECU is one of the few teams that seems like in the middle of the conference, right? You kind of got the bottom, and then you've got the top. And unfortunately for South Florida, other than the win over Memphis, they've played a lot of the bottom, so they're tough to judge. But East Carolina is always tough to judge in basketball. I thought we'd come into this one slight dogs just solely because never won 3 straight conference games, which I know they don't look at that, but as an ECU fan, you kind of have to. But it's going to be interesting to see. This is a team who takes care of the basketball really well, less than 11 turnovers per game. It's a team that shoots the rock really well from downtown. And with that being said, if the Pirates can run them off the three-point line early and force a couple live ball turnovers and get easy buckets off of said live ball turnovers, this South Florida team could get really frustrated. A lot of their wins, even their close wins, they were the team leading down the stretch and the other team was chasing. They haven't had a lot of come-from-behind wins late. So I think if the Pirates can get out to that lead, get them a little frustrated, like I said, those live ball turnovers, especially for a team who's not used to turning the ball over, that could really portray the Pirates forward. However, if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a tough hole to climb out of because they have played really well with the lead. So I am a little surprised that they are favored because normally teams that don't turn the ball over and shoot the 3 ball well get out to early leads. And with it being a team that doesn't sacrifice the lead very often, I personally would have favored the Bulls in this game.
East Carolina, one thing they do extremely well is they defend the three-point line. They're holding teams to 30% from three-point range. Honestly, guys, the defense in conference play has been really good, and we've talked a lot about how the offense have struggled. And when Schwartz came in, it was defense, defense, defense. I mean, they go to Wichita. You hold Wichita to 54. Then you see Wichita a few days later beat SMU and score in the 70s at home. So I feel like they are at least finally finding that defensive identity, Bobby. And so, now if you can just get some offense with it, I feel like this team can – I still feel like this team can beat anybody in the American. They can also lose to anybody, too.
Right. That's the issue is you feel like it could go one way or the other. There's no super confident that, they can beat up on some of those lesser teams. And to me, that's what's going to make the American Conference tournament so fun. I think that's what's going to – I'm legitimately think that they could go on a run and get hot there. If they get on a hot shooting streak, that's kind of that next step. I've been trying to think of this program's trajectory, and last year they weren't great. They had some good wins and stuff like that under Shorts, but I kind of do feel like we're in that range, that weird little range where we're either losing close or we're winning close. There really is not a ton of blowouts, and
right.
With the exception of maybe the SMU game, the point differential is still close, but watching the game, you could tell SMU was in control, and so. I think that is a good sign on the trajectory of Mike Shorts' program, and I think it proves all right, if they can get shooting the ball they kind of expected into the season, I could see them getting to that 5th spot in conference play, like they were projected preseason. Now, granted, I believe some of those teams at the top, it may be too big of a gap to make up. I know you got the standings pulled up right now.
Yeah, so FAU 7-1, Charlotte 7-1, South Florida 6-1. Those are your top 3 teams. Pirates will take on Charlotte and USF this week. UAB, North Texas 5-2. ECU still plays North Texas on the road. Towards the end of the season, they're done with UAB. And then the surprise, Memphis has lost 3 in a row. They're at 4-3. SMU's at 4-3. The Pirates will play Memphis at home, and then they still have to go to SMU. ECU is in 8th place, 4-4, And then you've got Tulane at 3-5, Tulsa 2-5, UTSA 2 wins, Wichita, Rice, Temple with 1 win. So the standings are kind of a jumbled mess, really, overall. But ECU really looks like it'll be in the middle of the pack to potentially, I think they could get in the 6 range, maybe 5, 6. But they're going to have to win some of these games against the top portion of the league, like USF, Charlotte, even Memphis, etc.
Yeah, and looking at that top bunch, too, Florida Atlantic, Charlotte, UAB, North Texas, 4 of the top 5 teams just came over from Conference USA.
Yeah.
So that was kind of one thing going into this year, knowing, like, baseball and basketball should be improved in conference play, and I think those CUSA teams are holding their own in the standings there.
No doubt. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will maybe talk a little bit more ECU basketball. We'll also shift gears. We both got our MLB team logos on today on our gear, so we might have to talk some Major League Baseball. The Orioles are going to be sold. We'll discuss that. We got to talk NFL playoffs as well. And 2, we're going to recap some of the Caton Hauser interview from yesterday. If you're in the comments section on YouTube, Facebook, if you want us to talk about something or answer any questions, drop it there. We'll do it over the next hour. All right, this is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. We'll be right back.
It's Greenville Toyota's Winter Wrap-Up Event. Wrap up a great deal on over 100 pre-owned vehicles, starting under $15,000. We have all makes and models, including luxury. Plus, wrap up a huge warranty and no-charge maintenance. Hurry into Greenville Toyota.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hey, grab me one too.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
It's Greenville Toyota's Winter Wrap-Up Event. We're wrapping up the year with our biggest savings. Shop new Camrys and RAV4s, $289 a month. Need credit? Get pre-qualified today. Wrap up a great deal with payments from $289 at Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey!
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on this Wednesday. We talked a lot of ECU basketball. We had a 20-minute East Carolina basketball segment. Jack Dover, by the way, does say that my reverse jinx was apparently I was talking about how bad the offense was playing. And look, it was bad. So I'm not going to take back my tweet. And two, Bobby, I think they were some of the most egregious missed shots I've seen in a Division I basketball game. Like, I don't know if the ball was wet, but a lot of air balls by both teams.
Yeah, and that game took forever. Like,
yeah, I guess ESPN2 is the reason there.
Oh, was it?
Because it was a national broadcast.
The first half still only took 38 minutes. So we had the 10-minute delay because of the SMU Wichita State game going over. And it still only took us 38 minutes to play the first half. The second half was abysmally slow, and then it went in overtime.
Yeah, I almost had to take Dacre home. Like, we were pushing 7:30 to go to bed, you know.
Yeah, and then OT didn't help. And the fact I was trying to watch Chiefs-Ravens and other games in the press row.
Yeah, you stink, ESPN.
Yeah. Jack Dover says, when Ezra's play is in the flow of the offense, we are much better, especially when his head is up looking to pass. I agree. And Christian Bateman says, stop Kayshawn Pryor. He had some huge plays in the game against Memphis. Yeah, 6'10", who can play on the perimeter. Good guy to watch for the USF Bulls heading into tonight's game. All right, Bobby, today brought to you by Basil's. Check them out, Basil's Restaurant and Pizzeria, 1675 East Fire Tower Road. Tremendous food options. Bobby, I know you guys have been on a little kick here with the fam, doing some takeout. And, the best thing about it is you can go salad, you can go calzones, you can go pizza. Like, it's just a great little
we get a little bit of everything. Yeah, my son is obsessed with pizza. My wife is on a calzone kick. I've flirted with the salads occasionally, but I'm also now on a calzone kick. So, and they got some pretty good subs too. I know I've done a meatball sub from there, so always good options.
Basil's, again, 1675 East Fire Tower Road by the movie theater. Speaking of Basil's, they supplied some pizza and grub for Caden Hauser a few weeks ago when he had a couple of the offensive linemen over to watch the NFL playoffs. We had an awesome interview with Caden Hauser, ECU quarterback, transferred by way of Michigan State. Yesterday, he was in studio for the whole hour. And, Philip, you were producing and didn't get the chance to get you on the air just because we were rolling. But what did you think of Caden and, just kind of your impression of the new quarterback?
Yeah, I thought the interview was very mature to be 19, right?
19
years old. I thought he's driven. I think he is not arrogant. He's very open with the fact that, his career hasn't been perfect and that he's not, perfect in any way. Some of the off-the-air conversations we had let me know just how humble I think he is, but also the drive. You asked him what his goal was, and he goes, well, what's the team record for touchdown passes in a year? Because I want to do one better than that. So, and, normally you don't want a guy that's too into personal goals, but when it's quarterback and it's throwing touchdowns, you know that personal goals are going to translate to wins. And so I think that he's driven, like I said, humble, nice kid. Seems like he's got a great work ethic. I hope the humidity doesn't get to him too bad when the summer comes. He said he's already suffering a little bit from that. And from someone from the western half of the state, I thought, hey, it doesn't get more humid than this unless I go to Mississippi or Louisiana. Yeah, I was wrong. When I moved here, it was terrible. My mom thought I was crazy. She went for a run here one time and was like, oh, no, you're not crazy. So hopefully Caden can adapt when it comes May and it gets a little hot out there on that grass. But overall, no, really good kid. You're gonna, really looking forward to getting to know him better over the next, hopefully, 3 years, as he's got 3 years of eligibility left, and getting to see him play on the football field.
No doubt. Really enjoyed having him in studio. Again, thanks to Team Boneyard for that. And, yeah, when he brought up the humidity, I was just like, man, it's still January. Like, wait till preseason camp, brother.
Dude, Sunday was rough humidity-wise. I was doing yard work, and I was like, gosh, it feels like, summertime almost. Not temperature-wise, but humidity-wise, yeah.
And it's, those camp days, as well as anybody, Bobby, because you've been out there coaching. Preseason camp, like spring ball isn't too bad. I mean, there will be some warm days, but preseason camp in Eastern North Carolina is a grind.
Coaches, we went through 3 sets of clothes.
Gosh.
So that's just us, and we're not, obviously we're pretty active during practice, but we're not we're not doing the workouts like they are doing and participating in practice to the extent with shoulder pads and, helmets and all that stuff. And we went through 3 sets of clothes, and it was. Bless those equipment managers. They're just running the laundry machines a ridiculous amount.
All right, Christian Bateman says, I go with a good scouting report. There should be like a 94.3 college game day during college football and basketball season. Like basketball, imagine Igo, Blue Edwards, Coach Mack, Michael Perry, and Cy Seymour. So what do you guys think? You think we can pull off College Game Day for ECU USF?
I'm down. We just got to talk to Hank about it. Run it by Hank. I'm down. I'll produce it.
Yeah, and then he mentions football, a couple of people that I can't say on the air, also Bobby and Igo. So maybe we can work that out.
I'd be all for it. I'd be happy to do it. That would be fun. I think we could definitely make it a fun show, and there would be no shortage of our show on the our airwaves, during tailgating, just blasting in the parking lot, pounding Pirate Brews and all sorts of different drinks and beverages.
We'll just have to find a place to set up. But yeah, I mean,
was Joey Football left off that list?
Joey Football was left off that list.
So it was a good list, and that happened.
Wow, that's
Darn.
tough.
Got to add Joey Football.
So we'll add Joey Football, and I mean, we did do the pregame show already up, but in front of Dowdy Ficklen Stadium, so we can just make it to where somebody's doing the headgear.
Yeah.
That way can we officially call it College Game Day.
And that'll make it even more fun betting will be legalized at that point.
Exactly.
So we could, legitimately be talking lines and allowing, people to place bets. And it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we could do our super dog picks.
Yeah.
Like how they do on game day.
Yeah.
Pick against the spread, baby.
Great idea, Christian.
We'll see what we can do. We're running up the flagpole, and as we're getting other comments here, some guy named Clipper Brock, unfamiliar with that personality. All right, so NFL guys. Again, I didn't get a chance to really watch. I watched the end of Lions-Niners. You were probably in the same boat because you had your kid at the game, Bobby. But what did you make of the AFC-NFC Championship game from what you were able to follow?
Yeah, disappointed in the Ravens' offensive performance. It sounded like, it was a defensive slugfest. I just hate the Chiefs, honestly. I'm a big Andy Reid fan. I just really am not a fan of Patrick Mahomes. I'm over Travis Kelce. I'm over everything that's associated with that. The one that really let me down was the Lions.
Especially getting out to that big lead.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big Ben Johnson fan. I love what he does offensively. Really, from an offensive perspective, that game in general with Kyle Shanahan and Ben Johnson was awesome to watch. It also just kind of rubs it in as, Christian McCaffrey, Steve Wilkes, Sam Darnold, all those guys getting to go to the Super Bowl, which I'm happy for. Trent Williams, good for him getting to go to the Super Bowl. So I am happy. I don't hate the 49ers. They got a lot of players and personalities that I enjoy to follow.
I just feel like the Niners, I understand the Chiefs stuff. I have major Chiefs fatigue as a Broncos fan. I'm tired of it. I said last Friday they've ruined my Super Bowl Sunday. I can't even enjoy the game because I'm pulling so hard against the Chiefs. But what I don't know. I feel like people don't really like the Niners for some reason. It's just the fact that they're kind of boring, like colors and stuff.
I think they're just a legacy team, and
yeah.
They've always been in it. The last 5 years, they've been in the NFC Championship, like 4 of the 5 or whatever, 3 or 4. So recently they've been good. They had a phase there where they sucked, like they were bad.
Philip and I were talking about that the other day. Like it's at least in my lifetime, and we're obviously around the same age. They've either been like really good or really bad, like not real in between. Like they're almost like in the NFC Championship game or just like not even in the playoffs.
Yeah, they went to the Super Bowl with Harbaugh and Kaepernick, and then fell off because that's the game the lights went out against the Ravens. Then just fell off the cliff, and their football everything just went in the sewer. And then they brought in Sportsology, David Tepper's best friend. It always comes back to Tepper. And now they've redone how they do their front office structure and obviously bring in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And, they've been a well-oiled machine since then. After, I think, starting in year 3. Their first 2 years were rough, but year 3 they've been pretty good.
What's an interesting thing here, though? We talk about them being a legacy team, and I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys are saying because they've been to a lot of championship games. This team, the last time they won a Super Bowl 29. That was 29 years ago. They won 5 of the first 29. They actually won 5 in a 14-year span. They haven't won one since. It doesn't sound right, but it's true. So, yes, it is. It seems like they have been good a lot. They've been to 2 Super Bowls since then, been to a lot of championship games, but at least they haven't been winning a lot. And I'm not trying to just stick up for the Niners. I'm just playing a devil's advocate here because I'm not a huge Niners fan, but I do like a lot of the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Purdy obviously runs CMC. So I don't know, just a weird sidebar thought to kill time and interrupt Igo because that's what I like to do.
John Lynch I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, guys, because didn't he go from like TV executive to GM, and he's kind of built like a powerhouse there? Like,
yeah.
Nobody's even really I feel like that doesn't get enough coverage. I don't know, maybe just because they're in San Francisco.
I also think what doesn't get enough coverage is how bad they missed on the Trey Lance trade.
That is true, too.
I mean, that was a massive trade to trade up to, number 3, and then just completely bomb on that pick.
He never did anything for them.
But because they've done everything else good, it's covered up. I mean, they're able to – not many franchises are able to mask that big of a mistake. And because, I mean, they're hitting on so many mid-round picks. Mm-hmm. You got that safety, the linebacker, Kittle at receiver. I mean, at tight end, and then, I mean, they're stepping in. The other thing they're capitalizing on is those draft picks when their guys of minority get promoted as well. So they've been stacking up third-round picks, which allows them to make some of these trades.
All right, we got to get another break in. Russ asked, did we see Mahomes try to muck it up with Tucker in warm-ups? Yes, we'll maybe touch on that on the other side. Philip could go on another rant as well.
I had my 8 minutes of ranting on PJ's show on Monday. Go back and listen to it on the 94.3 The Game app.
There you go. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on some MLB and talk some more sports. On the other side, this is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
The Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on this Wednesday. Bobby Harward is in studio. Philip Pilkington producing. Been a fun show thus far. I always kind of enjoy these shows, guys, where, we did talk ECU basketball, but we kind of bounce all over the place. Dawson Haywood on Facebook says rigged Dawson, I'm guessing you're talking about the NFL and the fact that the Chiefs and Taylor Swift are in the Super Bowl. I can't imagine what the viewership is going to be.
He could. Dawson Haywood is a Bears fan. He's got the number 1 overall pick this year for my team winning 2 games. Shut up, Dawson.
Dawson, you should be happy, man. Just fast forward through the offseason.
Dawson, just go eat a cheeseburger and leave us alone.
Wow, what's the beef with Dawson?
He told me he'd pay me $5 to work the word cheeseburger into the show, so that's what I did. So Venmo me $5, Dawson.
Russ Walker asked us, did we see Mahomes try to muck it up with Justin Tucker in warm-ups? I mean, yeah, it was all over social media, Russ. For me, not a surprise. Travis Kelce is just kind of, I mean, he's always been this persona, so he's just getting more spotlight because he's dating Taylor Swift now. I mean, I've been annoyed by Travis Kelce for a decade, and now the rest of America can join me.
Now we're all getting exposed to it, huh?
So what did he do? Did he just flip the...
He kept moving. They kept moving the kicking tee and the ball. It's just real douche moves by them, to be honest with you. I wish, because Tucker's such a good person, like, I wish he would have just boomed it right into one of theirs behinds.
He even threw Tucker's helmet. Like, he picked it. Like, Tucker said, hey, like, they asked me to move. I moved. I guess I didn't move far enough. And they came over and just started, like, pretty much, like, terrorizing my equipment. I was wanting, Bobby, to your point, it would have been cool to see him kick the ball and hit him. I was just hoping he would kick a game winner and run over to the sidelines and do some obscene gesture that would get him fined or something.
I thought that for sure it could have happened. Yeah, what validates it even more is like former NFL players coming out. Like, the kickers are supposed to get their kicks on both sides. They're out there first warming up, and they have the right to that area and that space. Like, to hear other NFL players validate that Kelce and Mahomes are just continuing to douche it up,
Well, the weird thing, too, is this wasn't pregame warm-ups. They didn't even have pads on yet. This was like an hour and a half before. This was like this was like you're out there on your own time.
Like, they didn't need to.
Yeah.
They didn't need or have the right to that.
Yeah, there wasn't even the whole team. There was no coaches out there or anything.
Yeah. Again, not a fan of the Chiefs. Usually it's because they just win a lot. But in that regard, not a fan of how they conducted themselves there. But hopefully the Niners are due and they can beat them in the Super Bowl and make it that much more painful. All right, Bobby, I tell you what, before we talk Orioles and maybe some Mariners, just so I can talk about my favorite MLB team that nobody cares about, how about the Lions? I thought that the Commanders were going to hire Ben Johnson, and how about him staying home? So any idea who the Commanders are going to hire now?
Gosh, and he did that on, like, the Commanders were mid-flight on the way to Detroit to interview him and Aaron Glenn. So, yeah, just a bad look on Ben Johnson's part. There's a few things that, like, first thought was, like, did he just not interview well, and he felt like somebody else was going to get the job? From what I've read today, I don't know if it's true or not true, but I've seen he wanted – offensive control of the roster or control of the offensive side. And obviously Washington has a new GM. And then he wanted an egregious amount of money for a first-time head coach, like upwards of $15 million, whereas the previous record for first-time head coach was D'Amico Ryans in Houston at $10 million. So, yeah, it really puts them in a bad spot. I've been hoping for Mike McDonald from the Ravens, the defensive coordinator, but it's sounding like he's going to end up going to Seattle. So now Seattle's filling with McDonald. So that really leaves for them. Slowick's already said he's coming back to Houston. Like, they're stuck with Weaver. I think it's maybe Anthony Weaver is his first name, but he's the D-line coach for the Ravens, or Dan Quinn, which not really exciting either way. So, I mean...
Just when it looked like the Commanders were going to get a very good hire. And then now they're going to end up with some random dude. And I was excited for the Commanders and their fans because I felt like Ben Johnson was a good fit there, but clearly didn't work out. Always, and for me, I'm sure the Lions will be good again next year, but like you almost have to jump when you're the hot name too, though.
Right. His name has been hot for 2 years now, and he's passed 2 years, which maybe your guy Tepper is onto something there, Philip. Maybe he was just not such a bad guy after all and made the right decision to pass on him. I know everybody said last year Ben Johnson didn't want to work with Tepper, but maybe, Tepper didn't want to work with Ben.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and again. Let's not give Tepper too much credit.
If you make enough firings and decisions, you eventually get one right.
I guess that's how it goes. I mean, I'm excited. I'm getting on the Dave Canales train. I'll give it a chance.
I mean, I do feel like, all things considered, it's about as good as the Panthers could have done. Like, I mean, to me, I'd rather do that than hire some retread and, like, you kind of know what you're getting. Like, I'd rather have Dave Canales and Dan Quinn. I mean, I feel like the chance of hitting a boom, yeah, there's also a high bust rate, but the chance of maybe hitting a boom and him being the right answer for Bryce Young, I think, are also a possibility as well.
Yeah, and when you break down Dan Quinn's record with Kyle Shanahan and without, like, Dan Quinn's record is not great without Kyle Shanahan. So, I mean, that was, I think, a massive part of his success in Atlanta. I think the thing that gives me hope is, up to this point, Dave Canales seems like has been able to make all the coaching staff hires that he wants. There's Tepper's two rats, Campen and Tabor, the special teams coordinator, out. He's filled out his offensive staff for the most part. They're all guys that he's worked with before. I think they're trying to retain Evero, but I think that is mutual. I think Canales wants to keep him as well. Don't blame Evero, but Evero, I think, kind of wants to get out of there. I mean, he's been passed on the head job twice, and really, in all honesty, the Panthers are going to be bad again next year. So he wants that head coaching gig. So thankfully, so far things have been done right, how they should have been done years ago. But what happens when they start 0-3, and does Tepper put his meatball head right back into things and start getting in the way again?
Probably so. It's only a matter of time. So enjoy it while it lasts. But hey, at least you do have a little bit of upward momentum.
A little bit of hope.
Baltimore Orioles, they are going to be sold.
A lot of hope there.
The Angelos, they haven't really spent a bunch of money. So are Baltimore fans excited about this move?
Very excited. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, excited for the potential of being able to actually spend money. And what makes it so weird is John Angelos' dad, before his dementia got worse, and when his dad was making the decisions, they were around middle of the pack to kind of top middle of the pack in terms of payroll. And then once John, the son, took over, it's just been, 30th.
They haven't spent anything.
I don't think they've surpassed 27th in terms of payroll. So there's optimism there because the new owner coming in, I think he's already going to be top 8 in terms of wealthiest owners. The concern, though, and the one plus that Angelos had is he stayed out of everything baseball decision-wise. So literally it was Mike Elias and their whole crew making all the baseball decisions, which is how it should be. And obviously their farm system is ridiculously
You don't want
loaded.
another meddling owner for one of your favorite teams?
Gosh, that would just be my luck, though, is Rubenstein comes in and just is like, all right, I'm getting rid of the GM. Because, that's my fear. If they keep Mike Elias and literally Rubenstein just is the financial backing, it could be set up pretty good, with some of those. Not saying like the Dodgers and that kind of payroll, but at least they're, maybe top 10 and get, funding into the payroll when they're in their competitive window. So that's the hope. And I hope Rubenstein, with him being 74, is already just old enough where he doesn't want to try to understand baseball.
And you would think with just the upward trajectory of the entire system, they would leave the baseball operations side alone. But you never know with this stuff.
You really don't. My hope is, I think they have the owners' meetings next week. If that gets approved, maybe they could sign a Blake Snell. Not saying I want Snell to a long-term contract, but they need another starting pitcher, and maybe you can give him, a 2 or 3 year deal at 25, 30, between 30, 35 AAV and try to at least solidify a starting pitcher for the next few years.
And thus far, the only big move they've made is Craig Kimbrell.
Yeah, 1 year, $13 million.
And Connor Norby's still banging on the ceiling. Unfortunately, the O's are just so deep. He's I think number 7 second base prospect in baseball. But I think he'll be up one way or another by some point.
Yeah, he should get a 40-man spot and be up on somebody's roster, whether it's via trade or with the Orioles and whatnot. And
he's crushing the ball, man. He had a monster year at AAA, so he deserves it.
He does, and hopefully I imagine he's going to be in big league camp for a while.
Yeah.
Now, granted, because of Masson and the great TV studio that it is, they televise like one spring training game a year, so we won't really get to see much. But another plus of the purchase, Rubenstein has taken over Masson, so maybe that helps. I mean, it kind of sucks when you live 2 states away and you're blacked out from the games, but it is what it is, Major League Baseball.
No doubt. And let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show. I'll tell you that I'm thinking about going to cover my first ever American Athletic Conference road basketball game this weekend. So we'll discuss that. Hoist the colors on a Wednesday.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Hey, grab me one too.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport. Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up, me hearty yo-ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. I think about 3 minutes left. So East Carolina plays Charlotte on Saturday. Again, big game tonight, South Florida. We'll touch on the games here in a little bit for the American tonight. So, guys, ECU has been in the American since 2014. I've never covered an East Carolina men's basketball conference game on the road. I've never been to the conference tournament because they're always like the last seed, and they usually don't win a game. So
and they're in Dallas.
And they're in Texas. So it's like there's no point in going. I would like to go. It's actually not a bad flight. But either way, we are going, and you're going too as well, Philip, Saturday to Halton Arena for 94.3 The Game, and we'll be there for Hoist the Colors. So it'll be weird to cover a road basketball conference game.
Yeah, it will. But, the weird thing is, you bring it up that it hasn't happened. Well, the closest road game's been Philly. So
yeah,
This is the one that's truthfully the only place you could do a day trip out of it.
And it's still pretty far.
I still think you and Kaysen should hang out Saturday night with Scooter and I, but, you're going to drive back. I get it.
Be a dad.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I told the wife I was going, she was like, is that really necessary? It's just ECU basketball, which is part of the problem with the perception of the program because it's been down for so long. But I'm like, yeah, they're playing pretty well. This is I want to go. I enjoyed going to UNC Wilmington last year. Like, that was my first time watching ECU play at Wilmington. Yeah, ECU didn't play well, but it's cool to experience other venues. Like, I've covered ECU at Duke. I've covered ECU at UNC in basketball. It was fun. And it sounds like Charlotte is going to be camping out. Their students are going to camp out for this game. So I guess it's going to be a pretty raucous atmosphere, guys.
Sounds like it will be fun at least. I mean, hopefully the game is close. I know Charlotte's had a good year. It would be freaking awesome to upset them
It would be great.
Camping out the night before. And I think they have the feeling like they're going to kind of smoke us pretty good in basketball and get some bragging rights back after that abysmal performance on the football field.
Somebody said, would a win in basketball make up for the loss in football? And no, it would not. But it would help because that football game was one of the most embarrassing things I've covered.
I still can't believe we lost that game. So I think a sweep in basketball, a sweep in baseball, and then an annihilation next football season in Charlotte will make up for it.
Yeah, hey, the one thing I want to see is Pirate Nation show out because historically there are a lot of Pirate fans in the Charlotte area. We went there a couple years ago in baseball. There was a lot of people there, and I knew a lot of people growing up that went to ECU. So hopefully there'll be a lot of purple and gold on Saturday.
Let's hope so. 2 o'clock tip-off on Saturday. We'll preview that game more on Friday's show. Tonight we got South Florida, East Carolina hosting the Bulls. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off. And then you also got Wichita, Tulsa, Rice, Memphis, and UAB North Texas going at it in the American. All right, appreciate it, Bobby. Good stuff, man.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And for Philip and Bobby, I'm Stephen Igo. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Softball coach Shane Winkler in studio. See you then.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 943 The Game.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro,